Algebra 1, Section 2.1. I'm trying to keep these videos short for you, so I'm not going to go and do examples 1 through 3 because they're pretty simple and straightforward. I do think it would be worth just looking at them. Just take a moment and look at the 3 examples. Even the first one, just to see what they're doing with that, even though I didn't assign anything from that example. It's still worth just to see kind of where this starts. But I'm going to start it in right now in example 4 just to help these videos stay short. So what we have here is evaluate, a word that we talked about back in chapter 1. And evaluate means plug it in and simplify. So that's what I'm going to do here. And 3.6 plus negative 1.7, like so. And if you're like me, what you usually should do is just change negative to plus like this, or you could have really just left it out, right? Because even that was a little bit weird with plus. So you could certainly have just totally left this symbol out, and you're adding 3.6 plus 1.7. I do want to challenge the class too, just a little bit, being that you are algebra geometry, that there is somewhat of an expectation that you're of a higher level math student, that you don't immediately reach for the calculator when you need to add 3.6 plus 1.7. Do that in your head. When you're adding something to 1.7, it's like adding 1 and then adding 0.7. So 3.6 plus 1 is 4.6, plus 0.7 would be 5.3. I should expect that you would be able to do problems like this without a calculator. And we don't know what the year is going to look like, as you know well, but historically we have done some no calculator stuff in Algebra 1. Not just Algebra Geometry, Algebra 1, but in all of our Algebra 1s. Okay, next example. It says a scuba diver who is 88 feet below sea level begins to ascend to the surface. Write an expression to represent the diver's depth below sea level after rising any number of feet. Now, I take issue with this just a little bit because, if you talk about the diver's depth below sea level, that would be a positive number, right? He's 88 feet below sea level, okay? They're going to go with negative, and I understand why. And just so that it's consistent, that I'm consistent with example 5 in your textbook, we'll go with negative 88. So it makes sense, right? Sea level is at 0, and it's down 88 feet. So with that in mind, this expression, remember we know what an expression is going to be negative 88 plus the variable, whichever variable you would like to use. R for rise would be that might be what they use here. X, if you don't like any other letter, would be totally fine. Okay, and then in part B it says find the new depth of the scuba diver after rising 37 feet. So of course that's our expression with 37 plugged in for R. And again, don't reach for your calculator now. You ought to be able to do this on your own, and that would be 51. Negative 51. Meaning that the scuba diver is 51 feet below sea level. Okay, and one more. This is somewhat out of left field because these are what are known as matrices, and I don't know if you've ever seen a matrix before. The singular word is matrix, and then plural is matrices. And you're going to like this because it's very easy. These have to be of the same dimension, and then you're just adding each element corresponding to where it is positioned in the matrix, okay? So this is what's known as a 2 by 3 matrix. It's 2 rows by 3 columns. It's being added to another 2 by 3 matrix, and your resulting matrix will also be 2 by 3. And then you're just adding these, and again, let's a little emphasis on mental math on this, this section of the book that is just dealing with addition. Let's try to do well with that. Negative 6 plus 7 would be 1. 8.6 plus negative 5.4. Be a little careful with the negative, but you should be able to do that one as well. That's going to be 3.2. By the way, I'm doing this on the fly too. I didn't practice this ahead of time. 11 plus negative 2 would be 9. 2.3 plus 11.1, that's going to be 13.4. 5 plus 3 is 8. And negative 3 plus negative 1, again, be a little careful with the negative there. Just slow down a little bit as you deal with that. Negative 3 plus negative 1 would be negative 4. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in.